In this video, we're going to describe correlations by type and strength. So define and distinguish among positive correlation, negative correlation, and no correlation. And how do we determine the strength of a correlation? So let's define positive correlation. Positive correlation means that both variables tend to increase or decrease together. So as one increases, the other increases. As one decreases, the other decreases. Define negative correlation. Negative correlation means that the two variables tend to change in opposite directions, with one increasing while the other decreases. Let's define no correlation. No correlation means that there's no apparent relationship between the two variables. And how do we determine the strength of a correlation? The more closely two variables follow the general trend, the stronger the correlation, which may be positive or negative. For the following pair of variables, state the units that might be used to measure each variable, then state whether you believe that they are correlated. If you believe they are correlated, state whether the correlation is positive or negative. To measure latitude, the unit degrees of latitude might be used. To measure temperature, the unit degrees Fahrenheit might be used. What correlation, if any, is there between the variables? There is a negative correlation because average high temperature in June tends to increase as latitude decreases. And why are they talking about June? Look up here. I didn't read the statement, but latitude and the average high temperature in June. There's what we're trying to find the correlation for and the relationship there. So now let's look at the relationship height and how frequently a person attends rock concerts. So to measure height, the unit feet might be used. To measure the frequency a person attends rock concerts, the unit of number of attendances might be used. And what correlation, if any, is there between the variables? The variables are not correlated. Now let's look at the age of a person and the time spent on social networking sites. So to measure age, the units years since birth might be used. To measure time, the unit of hours might be used. And we believe that there's probably a negative correlation that older people usually spend less time on social networking sites than younger people. So as age increases, time on social networking sites probably decreases. And as age decreases, time on social networking sites probably increases. Now let's look at altitude and air temperature along the route here. So for altitude, we would measure in feet. For air temperature, we would measure degrees Celsius. And the air temperature probably decreases as altitude increases. So there should be a negative correlation between air temperature and altitude. And now let's look at the year a state joined the Union and the land area of the state. To measure a year that the state joined the Union, we would use the year. To measure the land area of the state, we would use square miles. And There's a positive correlation here because the later the states join the Union, usually they're bigger states than, say, the original 13 colonies that were all smashed together into a small area. So while that's not necessarily a strong correlation, you definitely had bigger states like California, Alaska, and Texas, and even other places that are more sizable join later. So, as opposed to you have very small states like Delaware and Rhode Island um, that joined much earlier. All right, that's it for this video. We'll come back next time and keep talking about Unit 5E. See you for the next video.